This is the power of network voices. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Wallace. This is Mondays with Wallace. I'm your host, Wallace Peoples. We speak everything, anything cannabis every Mondays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we chat about cannabis. We're going to be talking about cannabis. You are on Flight 420 live out of Los Angeles. Thanks for being aboard. We're going to talk today about hemp. Hemp, which is really, really common. I had actually noticed that hemp has been around for about 10,000 years. Hemp is basically a sativa aspect of cannabis. Today, we are going to have, as always with us, Stephen Cotton. Stephen's not here today. Stephen's going to be here today. He's running a little late. We're going to get Stephen in here. We also have with us a very old friend and a very dear friend of mine, Carol Lemire. Carol, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Carol, we're going to talk about hemp, and I have on the line with me. We did some conversation in the past about Coke versus Pepsi, and we have on the line Chris. Chris, are you still with us on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
So, it's really remarkable, Chris. We were talking about Pepsi and we were talking about Coke, and we were trying to figure out which one were better with cannabis, and we actually found that Pepsi was better. Now, you were a Coke or Pepsi person, so where are you now?
Well, I'm Pepsi now.
You're Pepsi now. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We had found some of the better aspects of Coca-Cola or Pepsi. You would do better with Pepsi. And when you do cannabis, the thing with some of the differences, if you remember, is that the Pepsi actually was not as sweet. So it kind of would work a little better because when you smoke cannabis, it was a kind of a smoother thing. So we actually did decide that Pepsi was better. Did you know when we posted on Facebook, did you know Facebook kind of had trouble with that? And Facebook, they didn't really block us, but they didn't really allow us to actually, they didn't really access, they did not allow us to post our vote. So, how's everything going there with you in Michigan there, Chris? How's everything?
Oh, I'm good.
No,
yeah,
that's good. That's good.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, are you guys still able to get cannabis there in Michigan or no?
I guess.
Okay. Well, thanks for being with you. We really appreciate you on the show. Carol, what's going on with you lately? Today, by the way, I don't know if you are a person, Chris, who votes, or a Carol. I don't know if you're one who votes, but today is the deadline to vote.
I vote.
Yeah,
to register to vote.
I vote. Mm-hmm. I'm already in there.
Chris, are you one who votes?
Yeah, I'm already voted. Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong, but I know a lot of you middle America people are Trump supporters. And you got to love everyone. Are you a Trump supporter or are you on the other side? And I don't care. We just want to know.
I go for Trump.
You go for Trump. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Why do you go for Trump? I'm just curious.
That's a lot of middle America. And what people don't realize is that, and I'm not really a Trump supporter or against Trump, but much of America, although they don't really say it, they actually vote. Chris, is that something that you find?
Repeat that, please.
Do you find that when you are a Trump supporter, what are you looking for from Trump? Why are you a supporter of Trump? And it's okay. I think a lot of people are. Like what are you hoping to get from Trump? What are you hoping that he changes? Do you have trouble with the immigration? One thing that's happening is we have the caravan that's coming from, I believe, Guatemala.
And he wants to send soldiers in.
And Trump wants to send soldiers in, but I'm just shocked at the amount of people that are actually coming in, and it is alarming.
But that's for years this has went on. It's no big deal. You guys are all illegal too.
No, we're not. That's
your
true.
ancestors are. How'd you get here?
Well,
you're not Indian. I wanted to ask him a question. Doesn't it scare you that he wants to take Social Security and Medicare? I don't know how old you are, but doesn't that scare you?
Yeah, it does.
Then you
really.
can't vote for him. You better switch over that day to Democrat.
Well,
That's one of the propositions. Have you looked at what you're voting?
well, I think
I mean,
Ohio
I'm
votes a
just
little
telling
differently,
you
or
because-
Michigan votes a little differently.
Well, I'm just saying if you're voting, you got to really pay attention to some things because it's like public schools he wants to get rid of. But see why they want to, because he wants the wealthy to own those charter schools like they're doing the prisons now. You don't want public schools to go away, and you don't want to lose Medicare and Social Security because that isn't their money now. McConnell just made a statement, I think that's who it was, that's their money. He feels we caused the deficit. That money has nothing to do with them. That came from us working our whole lives.
I think Donald Trump resonates with a lot of people in his base just because people are, I don't know if immigration is the bigger thing or Roe versus Wade. Some of the I don't want to even say Republicans, but a lot of people are against abortion. I'm not sure, Chris, where you're at with abortion or if you like or don't like it. But I think a lot of Trump's base, a lot of the people that typically vote for Trump, and I'm going to guess, I don't know, but Chris, tell me, are you for or against abortion?
I'm against it.
So my feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Carol, can I ask you, are you for or against abortion?
I'm against it, but I mean, I'm for it because...
So you're for abortion?
Being a woman, for years, because when women used to get raped, say as a teenager, and you had to carry that baby, or you went to an underground place to get an abortion, that will happen again. People died from that because they wouldn't let us get abortions. So I'm definitely for it. Women worked for those rights for years.
I think a lot of people, and this is just my feeling, a lot of people in Trump's base, they really have trouble with the whole abortion thing, and I think there's a lot of trouble with immigration. I think those are the two
Kavanaugh
things.
came in and said it would be hard to reverse Roe versus Wade.
Well, they're
Now,
saying
Kavanaugh
that,
said
but
that.
I think
Kavanaugh, who everybody hates.
I think that a lot of people in Trump's base, I think they really have such a problem with abortion and they have such a problem with immigration is that they're willing to support Donald Trump. Chris, is that right or no? It's okay if you don't want to say. And the problem, and the problem that I think, and it's a problem even with my show. We mainly talk about cannabis, and a lot of people are afraid to even talk about cannabis, and so that is. But these people do vote. So, Chris, I'm getting the impression that you're not wanting to really fully say to me what you're wanting to say, but I think you definitely are a voter. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's what the Trump base is. And I think that's part of the problem with even the Me Too movement. I think people are afraid to say, hey, I did this or I did that or and I think that's the case. Do you agree?
My problem with the Me Too movement, it's not just men that do things. There's women that molest young boys and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So Me Too should involve men and women, the way I feel, because being a person that's been in the business, I've seen what these women do to get a job.
Yeah. Well,
and then when they don't stay in there popular, they want to come back and say, oh, well, he did. So I think it relates to, there are men that have been molested. Look at the priests, what they did. Look at, why are they not in prison?
Well, I think that a lot of people, and I do think the movement is just a little over the top. And even my daughter, if my daughters were here right now, she'd be telling me, stop, Dad, don't talk about this because it's such a taboo subject. So, Well,
it is with women.
Yeah, it's true, but it's such a tough subject, and I think.
So, do you think it's okay when you're a child and
absolutely
somebody
not.
that's in your household molests you for years?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's what a lot of women have went through because they've ignored that for years. They've
absolutely
ignored
not.
it.
Absolutely not.
And I think there's women just as guilty of doing the same thing to a young boy.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
women, we fought for years for our rights.
But
And I mean, that's our body. If we choose to have an abortion, that's our body. Now, if there's people that are against it, that's their beliefs, and that's fine. They don't need to do one. But me, at one time, being a victim of something, believe me, I wish there was an abortion.
yeah, even now, to be really honest with you, even I'm looking at how can we move away from this subject because it's such a tough subject to talk about, and I think a lot of people are not really comfortable talking about so many things. Is there with the voting? Some of the voting principles that we're looking at in California right now. One thing we're looking at is the rent control. Rents in California, a rental property or rental apartment in California is in the neighborhood of about $1,300 or $1,400. Chris, I'm not sure.
Oh, it's way more than that.
How much is an apartment to rent in California?
To rent a place now, you might be paying over $2,000.
So rent control, I think
we need
rent control.
To vote Proposition 10 in this state because we have too many homeless people. I go to a place every Friday. It's a walk and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a therapy, and it's a group thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are older people that have come in there, and they're hiring their rent so bad. These older people have nowhere to go because, first of all, they want first, last, and security. It costs you almost $6,000-7,000 in California to move into an apartment.
Wow!
So it's out of control. That's why I don't know. I don't think other states have this, but we have Proposition 10, which a lot of people don't want because they want to be able to keep those high rents and do what they can. And it's not fair. We have too many homeless.
We do. That's
and it's
true.
Sad.
Chris, we're thankful that you are here today. We're waiting on Stephen. You're kind of Chris is sitting in for Stephen. Stephen's going to be here just a second. Steve's here from SC Edibles. Steve talks about, as we talk about everything cannabis. We usually try to be a think tank. We usually try to be a think tank from Hollywood, actually from Culver City. People also take issue with me saying we're from Los Angeles. Sometimes I say we're from Culver City. Sometimes I say we're from Hollywood. Lee, where are we from?
Alabama.
Yes, we are.
Are you from Alabama? I thought you were from Chicago.
No, I'm from Virginia.
Are you from Virginia? The Virginia hams?
Yeah.
You know, at my
Smithfield Ham.
Smithfield hams. You know, I have one of those Smithfield hams at my place in Ohio. Yeah, I have one hanging. How long can they hang? Forever. I know it's been it's a salt cured ham. Yeah. I have a salt cured. Yeah. No, honestly, I've had it.
It's heart attack food.
Oh, it's, very possibly. But I actually, and I mean this, I've actually had this salt cured ham hanging in my place for about 7 years. Is it still good though?
Yeah, it's still good.
Is it really? Because I'm gonna try.
Wait. A whole lot.
This is Mondays with Wallace. We're taking your phone calls at 424-227-9461. We are chatting about everything cannabis. We look at the financial aspects of cannabis, the financial impact of cannabis. I am Wallace Peoples. I've been in pharmacy for just about 30 years. We talk about addiction. I've dealt with addiction and rehabilitation sciences. I'm not really an advocate for cannabis, but I do, and our show really likes to talk about cannabis. We are fortunate to have Carol Lemire with us today, and we have on the line Alfie. Alfie, how are you?
Well, good afternoon to all of you.
Oh, we're so thankful to have you. Today we're talking about cannabis. We just had Stephen Cotton walk in, who's our main man from SC Edibles. One thing we were looking at was hemp. Hemp is really, do you know what I realized about hemp? Stephen, how are you?
Excellent. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know what I realized? Hemp has been around for about 10,000 years.
Is that what us Native Americans were smoking through the peace pipe?
No, I don't think you can smoke hemp. Can you smoke hemp?
Hemp is smokable.
It's smokable.
What were we smoking? I forget.
It is smokable. Hemp is
Yeah.
smokable. Some people smoke straight hemp. I don't think it has the THC effect that regular marijuana has, but it is smokable.
Hemp essentially is I thought it was a byproduct. And hemp is something you can use in clothing. You can actually use hemp in construction. You can use it in just about everything. Hemp has... Alfie, I thought you were familiar with hemp. Are you familiar with hemp?
I sent you the all about hemp.
Yeah.
I sent you that link.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, thank you for that. What can you? Is hemp? Do you still use hemp in your lifestyle today?
Hemp oil, yes.
So it's the hemp.
Right now I use hemp oil. You see, the growing of the
what do
hemp
you use?
crop, hemp oil.
Oh. Do you put that
The
on the
growing of the
joint?
hemp. Well, it has the same type of calming effect
Oh.
that your regular cannabis has, but it supports the nervous system, and it's beneficial. Let me put it like that.
I had heard, and Stephen, maybe you can help me with this. And I'm a pharmacist, and I really, and I'm always going to be. So for all my listeners, I want you to know I'm always going to be an advocate for pharmaceuticals. I think pharmaceuticals just do wonderful things. But hemp oil, I've heard people wanting to use hemp oil, the topical oil, to actually treat depression. Is that possible?
I've never heard it. That's the first time.
Depression, diabetes.
So it can treat. I think going out off the insane can treat diabetes is a stretch. I'm not.
It wanes you. It wanes you to a point where you may no longer need the
Insulin.
the medicine part about it. It like I said, it has, at some point we have to realize that simple things like what we used to use, the all natural stuff, has been outlawed because of special interest measures and the power of special interest and the money paid to politicians. Hemp crops were outlawed in the 1930s.
You're absolutely right. Arthur, before we go on, I'm going to actually read the definition of hemp because I wasn't really knowledgeable about hemp. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia hemp description, and hemp, or industrial hemp, from the Old English wordage, typically found in northern hemisphere, is a variety of Cannabis sativa. So it's sativa plant that is specifically grown for the industrial uses of cannabis. So
they make paper. They make sheets of paper and things like that out of hemp, correct?
Exactly. It's one of the fastest growing plants, and it was one of the very first plants to be spun into usable fiber. And this is per Wikipedia, going back 10,000 years ago. It says here it can be refined into a variety of commercial items, including paper, textiles, clothing, biodegradable plastics, paint, insulation, biofuel, food, and animal feed. That is just amazing. And now, you were saying, Alfie, that you had thought that there was some legal problems with it. Where do you feel we went wrong here?
We went wrong when we outlawed the growing of the hemp crops. You can get 4 hemp crops, fully grown hemp crops per year without the use of pesticides. For every, and I sent the link to you all about hemp, and it tells you for every hemp crop, you might save 100,000 trees.
Oh, is that right?
To that effect. There's and I'm searching for the all about hemp that I sent to you earlier, and I'm going to.
Yeah, we're looking at some of it. See what you come up with, because this is really an interesting subject.
So they made hemp illegal.
Well, is hemp illegal
they made
now?
hemp illegal in the 1930s because it interfered with the interests of the oil. Hemp replaces the oil-based 25,000 oil-based products. And if you use hemp, you don't need oil. And if you swap that out, what happens to the oil industry? At some point we have to understand, we've been getting played.
Well, it seems like there's a really lot of valuable entities to hemp. So I'm kind of wondering if it's legal now, and I'm not really sure. But before I find out if it's legal now, We just had Steve Cotton from SC Edibles walk into the building, and
Good afternoon.
he's one of my favorite people. What's happening with our Lakers this week? You know, there was this big fight with LeBron, and what's happening with the Lakers?
I think the Lakers want to show their toughness.
They wanted
LeBron
to-
James assembled this team of a whole bunch of misfits and veterans, and these guys look hungry. They want to show they're not going to get pushed around this year.
Yeah, did you register to vote? Are you one who votes?
Absolutely.
Today-
Registered to vote.
Are there any issues that really stand out to you?
Oh, I'm just rooting for Mayor Butts to get reelected in Inglewood.
Oh, is that right, Mayor Butts? Yeah, you know, Mayor Butts is a personal friend of mine. Me and him, we played basketball. He used to be
Police chief.
he used to be police chief in Santa Monica, and he's a good tall guy, really nice guy, by the way.
Where's
Really
the
nice.
guy, Chris? Is he still on?
I don't think Chris is on. Chris is away. Any hotbed issues for you in the vote, Carol? Specifically, any one item that really gets your goat?
The one I want Proposition 10. to vote
Proposition
yes.
10 is which one?
To make affordable housing where people can't see it and say someone moves out and they go, okay, we're going to charge $3,000 now for that room. Because now they don't take leases, they do month to month. Where they can't take people and just say, you're all out, we want $250 extra a month. They
Yeah.
got to stop it.
I
A lot
totally
of
agree
people
with you.
don't like it because they think they'll lose value, but who gives a crap when it comes to people living in the streets?
Yeah.
I don't care if I lose value. A lot of people don't like it because they don't want somebody to tell them what they can rent their place for, but people have gotten carried away.
Yeah,
Like Airbnbs, they're taking whole apartment buildings now and creating Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So it's putting a shortage for people. Have you looked at how many people live in the streets? It's sad.
I have an opportunity to work with veterans, and we see a lot of veterans that are homeless. One problem with being homeless in California has a huge homeless population. The biggest
Because of the
problem with
rents.
that is the people that are homeless. If you or I, and I don't think any of us are homeless, which I'm thankful for.
I've been homeless before.
Is that right?
Yes, I have.
And I know you, and I've known you for a lot of years, and I know you're successful. The problem with being homeless is you feel that you're not successful, and it's really no fault
It's
of your
not
own.
even that, Wallace. I have been out in the streets and talked to people, and there are people, they go to college. I met a
Oh, for
family.
sure.
She's
For
going
sure.
to college for her master's. She lives in the street with her daughter, her dog, and her husband because they can't afford to eat and try to rent these expensive places. So it's just out of control. It's out of, and anybody that's so selfish that you feel that you want to charge triple the rents, there's something wrong with you because you
I
could be
agree.
in the same position they're in down the road. You don't know where your life's going.
Oh, for sure.
So it bothers me because
Yeah,
I
it's-
see it every day at the beach.
It's
I
really
see people
troubling,
sitting
and
there
if anyone
and-
comes to Los Angeles, that's the thing that really stands out
well,
is
they
our
don't-
homeless
and another
population.
thing, they don't realize what rents
Especially
are gonna be.
Skid Row, downtown LA. I work in downtown
We
LA.
went
Oh, is that
down
right?
there.
It's bad.
Me
Yeah.
and Lee went, didn't we, last year? We went down, we brought clothes
Oh,
that's
with a group
wonderful,
of
Carol.
people, and
That is wonderful.
they had food, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people I noticed, didn't you notice this, Lee, that a lot of them were mentally challenged? They weren't drug addicts and drunks, they were mentally challenged.
Mental illness.
So
I
it really, it bothered me.
But I think that is, and that I think is
That
part
goes
of the
back to
problem
Reagan.
with some of the ideologies behind homelessness. A lot of people think, and I'm going to disagree with you, Carol, because a lot of people think that if you are homeless, you generally have some mental illness. But a lot of homeless
I
people
didn't- I
are
didn't
people
say
that. Oh, I know you didn't. But a lot of people are people that are college graduates. A lot of
True.
people are people
but they
that
can't
are.
afford these rents.
They just can't afford the rent.
I mean, now your daughters.
Sure.
You got, what, 5 daughters?
I do. I am very
How
thankful
many of
for
them
that.
can afford these rents?
I think probably between 1 and 0.
Yeah.
One,
and
zero.
why is that? Because it's too
It's hard out here.
expensive.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Too
hot.
expensive. So see, if it gets even worse and people vote this proposition in, like they're showing you on TV commercials,
Mhm.
they got somebody saying, yes, I'm a vet, and you got to vote no on that. And they got a senior citizen, but you know what? Why don't you just say it? You're a damn actress and actor. You're not a vet, and you're not a senior person. You're an actor. You're getting paid to say this.
It's harder for our generation to acquire property. I
Right.
look at my parents' generation. I look at your generation. You guys came out of college. You guys got decent jobs, and you were able to purchase property.
Sure.
Now you look at our generation, you go to college, you get 2 and 3 degrees, and you're barely paying your rent.
They can't even get jobs, people coming out of college.
That's the difference nowadays. The economy is completely different.
Yeah.
It's changed.
It's tough.
I'm wondering how we, in my
that.
feeling, and I'm sure I'm wrong about this. Things are as bad as I get. One thing I have actually, and I have on our Facebook page, and you can get us at we're on Facebook, we're on SoundCloud, YouTube, Mondays with Wallace. But people, you know what people communicate to me, and really intelligent people communicate this to me. They say we are on the brink of almost civil war because things have gotten so bad in society. And I disagree with that. I don't think we're on the brink of civil war, but civil war would be people fighting with people. Alfie, what do you think?
I think it'll be a racial thing.
Not only are you on the brink of civil war, but for you not to recognize what this man in the White House has done. He's sown the roots and the seeds of division. He is not the caravan. He's talking about M13. They're full of people from M13, and they're full of foreigners. They're full of, MS-13. They're full of Middle Easterners who are embedded into this group. He is preaching fear. The gentleman in the room who was a Trump supporter, who hummed and hawed when you asked him why. If you don't know why, how could you support it? And I wanted to ask him, do you support, what is it about him that you support?
But
ripping away of babies?
Let's call him back and get him on the phone.
Well, I am telling you, one thing about Chris, and this is for sure, and this is a big thing with Trump supporters. Trump supporters care about two things. They care about immigration, and they care about, and you can make mention to jobs,
businesses,
and they care about abortion. Those
the
two
funny
subjects.
thing is with immigration, though, they trip. What do you see every day? You see Latin people selling fruit. They work their asses off. They're maids. They do the jobs that people here don't want. They're their followers. They
Their
listen
work
to
ethic
what
is,
Trump's
they have an amazing work ethic.
And it makes me furious because...
And let me say this. Just let me say this, Wallace. Anytime you hear someone begin a debate with a lie, he paints the people, the immigrants, as rapists, murderers. They're not the finest people. Maybe some are. He began the entire conversation with a lie to demonize and vilify immigrants. And then he continued with the Muslim ban. Then he continued with the destroying of DACA. He canceled DACA so then he could bully Democrats to support his version. When you realize who he had with him and who he has with him, Bannon, Steve Miller, these are alt-right fanatics who are white nationalists, neo-Nazi, Klansmen, give it a name.
But I'll tell you, I'll say, and I'm not a Trump supporter. Do you think Trump is a racist?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't believe
I agree.
he is
I
a
think
racist,
Trump is racist. I want to see what Trump is going to do with small businesses, though. Everyone says Trump is a money man. He's good for businesses. He's good for that. I want to see the effect that Trump is going to have on the businesses.
Trump don't give a damn about a small business.
Yeah.
All Trump cares about is getting money into his pockets. He's violated the emoluments clause. He's enriching himself on the office.
The emoluments clause is a clause, from what I understand, that does not allow you to own or profit from your government position. Is that right, Alfie, I believe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely, and that's all he's done. Because he knows Congress will not stop him. He knows Congress will not hold him to account. So you've got a complicit Congress, the Republicans. You have a criminal as the president, a traitor. And I don't hesitate to. You see, Wallace, that's one thing about me. I don't hesitate to turn into the fight. I call the spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you are, that's what you are. If you were worried about health care and they voted 70 times to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and now they're telling you that we're going to provide for pre-existing conditions, they're lying to you.
They are lying because I called last week for my daughter because she might be losing hers. And the insurance place, you know what they said to me? We don't take pre-existing no longer.
And I'm not really, again, and even myself, I love our show and I love the people that are with me, and I'm not particularly a Trump supporter, but my argument is that, Trump takes $0 and people say, oh, you're a Trump supporter. No, I'm not a Trump supporter, but Trump takes $0 per year, and I think Trump is more of a businessman, more so than being racist.
No, you don't think he took a kickback recently with the Saudis?
I think he's a businessman, and I think his problem, if you look at the poor Saudi pressman that was killed, I think that's directly attributed to Trump and his anti-media, anti-news position.
No, he doesn't care. The guy was killed. They butchered that man alive.
They did.
They even show a guy now leaving with his clothes on.
The Saudi prince wanted him dead since he exiled to the United States. He was not a U.S. citizen, but he was a U.S. resident working for a major publication.
He worked for the Washington Post, I believe.
The Washington Post, exactly. He was a columnist for the Washington Post.
But my feeling is some of the anti-rhetoric that Trump uses. Oh, get this, even in some of his political,
rallies.
If you go to his political rallies, he does so much anti-CNN stuff. Some of the CNN anchors, they feel actually threatened. But I feel that the Saudis have really looked at Trump's position and they have felt that it was okay, or maybe not okay to kill this poor journalist. But I think Trump's rhetoric really contributes to the negative media position that the entire world is in right now. So I don't think anyone's talking about it, but the Saudis and Trump, he seems to be financially obligated to either the Russians or the Saudis because he's a businessman. He's a businessman first. And I think Trump is wanting to be president, but I think more than being a racist, and I think he's trying to protect his financial position for him and his family.
Well, as the Mueller investigation continues, you will find out that not only is he a fraud, he's a tax evader. If his Trump organization goes down, it will go down under the crush of the RICO Act, because they are criminals, from Ivanka to Beavis and Butthead sons to the son-in-law. Now, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's so different. He is not the businessman that people believe that he is.
That's true.
And people talk about, oh, he started with $1 million. No, he didn't. They started out with. Did you read the New York Times report about his tax evasion and his fraud? They siphoned his father's fortune. He got about $400 million from his father's fortune.
Well,
and it's not tough to flip that, especially if you're laundering Russian money.
Yeah,
Russian mob money and the Saudi money.
Well, I think that's probably an argument for a president, and this is probably the reason that we need a president, and it should almost be law that a president actually releases their tax.
Saudi money. Well,
yeah.
I think that's probably an argument for.
Turn your computer down.
Did you know, Stephen and Carol? Of course, we're talking about weed, and we talk about marijuana every year. Every week. One thing about Canada just recently legalized marijuana.
One day, they claim.
And do you know Canada is practically out of marijuana?
They said
they're sold out.
They said they're selling out of donuts too.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
they legalize it in one day, and then they can't keep up with the demand.
Yeah,
they cannot keep up with the demand.
Of course they can.
But do you know? I think if you look at Donald Trump, and so what are the advantages of Donald Trump to a guy like, let's say, Stephen, to a guy like yourself? The thing with Trump is if it's a good thing, and I'm not a Trump supporter, but everyone's going to say, "Oh, you're a Trump supporter."
You keep saying that.
I know.
I think he is.
I'm not a Trump supporter, but one thing that Donald Trump is doing, which I think is a good thing, is Donald Trump is moving away from a lot of the government restrictions
on marijuana.
Well, on anything. And that's a bad thing. He's moving away from environmental controls. The problem we have with marijuana, that you're dumping so much marijuana, is you can't just sell it. There's all these parameters and restrictions and all these legalizations. Remember a few months ago, we had to dump all that marijuana?
Packaging.
The testing and the packaging. Mm-hmm. And so I think Trump is moving away from that because it hurts businesses. Some of the rules, and Alfie, this is true, and I think anyone will agree, and I think Stephen will agree, a lot of the restriction and regulations here have actually hurt marijuana. It has hurt the small business people. It's killing them. Is that true?
Yes. A lot of them aren't able to get into the stores because of the packaging and testing rules. A lot of mom and pops. What's that?
That's by design.
It is by design.
Well,
they only want the corporations to control it now. You know, when Leon and Bubba Ray were selling their little nickel bags, they sending them to prison for most of their life. Now it's time for them to control and take over. So to control and take it over, you have to drop regulations and specifics on it. That is where regulations get in the way. Unnecessary regulations.
Now, absolutely.
You need the banking. Bush got rid of the banking regulations. What happened? Trump is getting rid of the EPA regulations. Now, watch the number of people begin to die from drinking the water from coal sludge dumped in the drinking water, from each and every EPA regulations that they get rid of. There is going to be a health hazard.
So I think, and this is just my feeling, but I think the cannabis would, you know what you can do? You can actually go to a market. You can actually go to a farmer's market, and you can buy tomatoes that are grown. And you're not testing these tomatoes to see if they use this particular growth or how they did that. But marijuana is different, and they're really, the amount of marijuana places that they're shutting down are just amazing.
That's because they want to control it.
Yeah.
They want to tax it as well, too.
To make the money.
So are you guys going to agree with me that Trump's policies of deregulation are better?
No. Absolutely not.
How can it's a paradox?
Let me give you a quick analogy. You know, it's my understanding that in California, collecting rainwater is against the law. Am I right?
Actually, I think collecting rainwater is a requirement, and I only know because I did a addition to my house. I'm trying to, and a requirement is that you have to have something within the structure that collects rainwater. But I think to collect it and drink it might be problematic, and you're going to know more about it than me. But
it's problematic for who? If they can stop you from collecting rainwater for consumption because they want the industry of bottled water to continue to grow, it's already in the billions.
Yeah,
and this is one way regulations and things hurt, when it's for the haves and against the have-nots.
I really think, and even though you guys are saying no to me because I've said Trump is going to be helpful here, but I really think deregulation is what marijuana needs right now, because you're not telling me how many tomato plants I can grow, but you're telling me I can grow 6 weed plants, which I've done a terrible job with. I can't grow anything. And what stuff I did grow, Carol, someone stole. Carol.
He thinks I stole that skinny-looking thing.
Well, someone did steal my plant.
There's no buds or nothing on it. Why would I steal it?
I'm just saying.
Well, next time you got to put a security system on your grow.
Or put a watchdog there.
People put cameras on their grows all the time.
Yeah, and Lee always has a little sly smile too.
He was with me.
Lee, I'm telling you, Lee,
he was with me, bro.
You can always,
You could have had an animal that came back there and ate up your crop.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
That's why you got to.
That little tree was sick.
No.
It could have been some rolled tomato guy.
Well,
eat the tomato maybe if it grew.
I'll tell you.
I think the tomato ate the weed.
That's what I think too.
It's all comedy to these guys, but I'm serious. Somebody stole my plant, and I started to call the police. But you guys will be thankful.
Laughed at you if you showed them that picture.
Someone stole my weed plant, officer.
You guys will be thankful.
They got a legal plant.
You'd be better off calling the police on the black man, okay?
Did you guys see that plant? Did you see that, Alfie, that plant he had?
No, that was a nice weed plant.
It was terrible.
That weed plant was growing. No.
The struggle.
Yeah.
It was anorexia.
Okay. So anyway, I think there's a argument, and I really think there's an argument that we maybe should be on the side of deregulation with weed, because in Canada they can't get it. We have problems getting it here. In California even. Well, there is.
I haven't seen no shows.
No, a lot of the shows, or not the shows, but a lot of the stores are being shut down. A lot of people are being raided.
They want to control it. Tell them what they just sold the license for.
But it's regulation. It's regulation.
There was a license out there. Tell them what they sold that license for.
And that's because of the regulation.
That's because there's
no licenses to grow tomatoes.
My friend had a weed store for medical purpose. They shut him down right away. Because they don't want
they want to control who can get in and who can't get in.
It.
Look, if you look at people that have, and a lot of people in the neighborhoods, you look at a lot of young, let's say young African Americans, who were actually selling wood or selling weed. For whatever you thought about them, they had money that stayed in that community.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're making marijuana a corporate strategy.
And aren't they trying to make synthetic weed that's very harmful?
Well, K2 Spice.
Yeah.
What is that again?
K2 Spice is the synthetic weed that people are making. Not very good.
Yeah, I've heard people have actually died from that.
They have.
But I'm on the I'm on the side of we need less regulations, and even me,
we've been growing weed for years, Wallace, and you didn't see people dying from it. It isn't something new that just happened. Mm-hmm. I'll put money every president that's been in office has smoked weed.
These local African American weed dealers need to figure out how do they become a business. Instead of the local weed man, they need to figure out how do they get the proper licensing, how do they get into the business.
Well, my problem with that, mm-hmm. and you're absolutely right, mm-hmm. but my problem with that is there's just too many regulations. And if a license is going for millions of dollars, who can afford it? I can't afford it.
And it isn't just that. They're now, if you study the history, Google it one day. Look at how many holistic doctors that push cannabis and that are dying. I just seen where another black, they're killing them.
Oh, come on, Carol.
Pull it up.
Okay.
Google it.
They're killing them. They're actually
killing them. You don't believe that, Wallace? Pull it up. See how many holistic doctors have been found dead. A young black girl was anxious this week.
Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're treating people naturally and holistically, and people don't like that.
No one's
so they,
somebody's taking them out.
Wallace, it's true. They are taking them out. Google it.
Okay.
I'll have it for you next time. I'll show you.
I would love to hear that, but that's.
It's like when people had liquor and they had their own stills. Mm-hmm. They would come and shut them down and that.
Well, they were
the main people that used to make liquor.
These pharmaceutical companies, they want to keep pushing their pharmaceuticals. They want to keep getting rich. They don't want people to go holistic and natural.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah,
pushing those pharmaceuticals on people.
But then he's trying to grow a tree in his yard.
No. Well, first of all, I wasn't trying to grow a tree in my yard.
Over there.
I drew it. There you go. There you go. You guys treat me bad. I'll
More
tell you.
holistic, natural healing.
Yeah. You know what?
Those painkillers are addictive.
If they prove all this, it'll put a lot of pharmacists out of business.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if they can prove that natural things can help.
Society needs pharmacists.
Well, let me just say this. I think that if I was a big farmer, I would invest in holistic type ventures as well. Because if it works, and it's going to impact on my revenue on the other side, I'm still going to win because I'm on both sides of it. So they need to just think smart as opposed to being gangsters and trying to stop stuff. Get in the game.
Well, I'll tell you, that's, if you look at, and our show today, primarily we're talking about hemp, which has been around for 10,000 years. That just dates even cannabis and marijuana, and I'm absolutely amazed at that. What do you think started the anti-hemp movement?
The rich people weren't making the money.
Right, the oil industry. Those are the same types of regulations that you so decry. These are special interest groups. The forestry, the people who cut down the trees for paper and those products, they're the same people who paid the politicians to outlaw the growing of hemp farms. Hemp crops 4 times a year, no pesticides, and they grow faster.
Yeah,
what could be worse for the oil industry?
It seems like hemp is really an amazing entity, and I'm wondering if there are really brighter days ahead for hemp. Since it has so many different uses, if you just
that's why they're saying you should
with the legalization
buy stock in it now.
Yeah, with the legalization of marijuana, hemp should have became legal as well. I think we're going to see it on the rise again.
Yeah, I mean you can actually
people using hemp for fuel and things like that.
Do you actually have anything? And I was going to go and buy something made from hemp.
Great question. I was with my buddy smoking last night, and they rolled up the weed in hemp papers.
And hemp papers?
Yeah. They went right down the street to the local smoke shop, and they purchased something called hemp papers. Yo, Steve, you got to try these. Yo, Steve, you got to try these. Your backwoods are too harsh. I love backwoods. It's my
What is backwoods?
Backwoods is a tobacco leaf. Mm-hmm. I take a tobacco leaf and I roll up my marijuana and I smoke it. You get a little bit of the tobacco high with the marijuana high. Mm-hmm. So these guys, they don't like the tobacco high. They want a more natural smoke. So they go down and they buy hemp leaves. And it comes in a real big green leaf, and it's not as harsh. And it was a decent smoke last night. I tried it last night and I enjoyed it. I smoked a hemp leaf last night.
A lot of people, you use a lotion for your hands made of hemp?
Mm-hmm. There's several uses for this hemp product.
There's such great pharmaceuticals that are available for stuff like dry skin, and there's such great pharmaceuticals, lactic acid. There's such great pharmaceuticals that are available for almost anything.
Because I put something on my shoulder when it hurts. It's a balm.
Pain relief.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. I have these droppers. Lee gave me one. And is that hemp that's in there? I don't know how to use that. They say it medically will help make me feel better.
The hemp drops?
Is it drops that are in
Some
those little
people put it in their tea. Some people take the CBD drops and they put it in their tea.
Me? I get depression really bad.
They say that CBD helps with depression. They say it helps with appetite. It is the healing aspect of the marijuana plant. So it has several different healing aspects, and it's supposed to be good with pain, too. I use it for my neck every morning.
So how many drops should I take? Because I have 2 of them now.
I mean, it
Somebody
doesn't...
from Vegas sent me
It should give you directions. That's what's wrong with these products.
But I just don't understand. It doesn't really.
It doesn't give you any type of directions.
It just take such a drop on your tongue or something.
Oh, so you use it under your tongue?
You can, but other people say drop some in the teas.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the, and I'm sure CBD oil probably, if you look at like holistic doctors or what they will...
Well, they're killing all those.
Carol, they're not.
You got to Google it. I'm very serious.
I'll certainly Google it, but trust me, they're not doing that. But, if you look at a lot of like CBD oils or any oils, a lot of pharmaceuticals or any drug will actually, you can put it under your tongue. And if you put it under your tongue, it bypasses your liver degradation system, and it works faster. So
it's supposed to get in your system quicker.
It gets into your not
if
just
I put
quicker.
It under my tongue.
Yeah, not just quicker, but cannabis, which is CBD oil, I'm sure, right? Which is cannabis. What is it called? What does CBD stand for? Do you know? I think it's cannabidiol, CBD dihydrate, I believe. And what it does, it gets it into your system faster. It goes right to your brain. And even if you're not using it in your brain, it gets to your systems a lot faster. The thing with your liver, if you have a healthy liver, it will typically break anything down. cannabis has
For
about...
somebody that doesn't believe in all this, he's an expert.
Oh, no, I'm only knowledgeable. I'm not an expert. People people think I smoke. I don't know why people think I smoke. I'm so clear about it. People are always, when I go places, people are always trying to give me weed. Always.
Huh?
Always.
I'm going to start telling people I don't smoke
please
either.
do me a favor and take it and then
I
give it
get
to
it all
us?
I'm telling you, I get it all the time. I absolutely get it all the time.
Always.
But let me ask you.
I eat it.
The last person that gave me marijuana, they gave me a cigarette that was so well formed.
It was a joint.
It was so well formed. It was just really well formed.
I can roll really
It was a pre-roll joint. They have little machines now where you put your joint paper in there. You put your weed in there.
Right.
See,
And then it rolls it for you. You just close the machine up, you close it, and it'll roll your joint for you. It's called a pre-roll joint.
See, I can't smoke weed like that because it does something to my asthma. I can't even have it in my house.
But I thought
But
you
I
have
eat
to.
weed. People don't think it gets you high, but it does. I'll eat a piece of weed.
If you look at your typical marijuana plant and it has the buds, I didn't see buds or anything. At least I didn't think I saw buds, but I saw such a fine looking.
On that skinny plant you had?
Well, no,
one
this
Lee
was
told
the
me
joint.
to
I
steal.
never got anything from that plant because someone stole it, as I was mentioning to you all. But I thought on the cigarette that I had, it was so fine. I was wondering how they went from a plant to
bud?
such a fine product.
The grinder.
The grinder.
They take the buds off the plant. They dry out the buds, and then they take it into a little metal jar.
Yeah, I have a little
and they
grinder.
grind it.
You have a little grinder?
Yeah,
And
it gets it down to the consistency of sand.
Kind of a stone type thing,
Yeah.
right? Or steel.
It's metal.
Hey, Elfie, are you still on?
Alfie is not with us anymore. I think we
wanted
lost
to
him.
ask him a question because, Elfie is sick.
Oh.
To see if it helps him.
I'm still here.
Oh,
Does it
thank you,
help
Alfie.
you, Alfie, cannabis? Because I know you have some health issues.
Not like I thought it would, but when I was, and I'm still taking it. It has that calming, that soothing effect, and as far as helping my diabetes, it kind of levels it off. It levels off my blood sugar.
It don't give you the munchies?
No.
Doesn't help or hurt your appetite?
Nothing hurts my appetite.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
That's a blessing. Alfie, I hope you're doing good. How are you doing, though? We appreciate you being a guest with us today. How are you doing?
I'm day to day. And I feel like that because my health issues are so vast, are so multiple. Let me put it like that. The multitude of the things that I have to deal with are just overwhelming, but I soldier on a daily basis. And we're really thankful for that. We're thankful for all the information. You've really been able to give us some just fantastic information. How do you? I'm just curious. How have you found out all this information? The stuff about hemp, and we even fashioned our show today because of a previous conversation with you. Have you just known this? How did you figure all this out? I'm just curious. Well, I literally stopped working in 2006. So I've had an opportunity, and I literally started with a computer in 2006. I'm not a computer whiz by any means, but the information highway is just that, an information highway. And all about hemp. And I put it in your room again today.
Thank you.
And the entire article, if you read the entire article, it'll give you a perspective of what hemp is and what it actually does. Wikipedia is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get right down to it, there are certain, I would call them sites that you go to, and they are basically that's all they do is tell you about hemp or whatever topic. Wallace, you said you didn't smoke.
Right.
You said you're a pharmacist, and So I'm
Good
just,
Christian. Good Christian.
You're a Christian?
I'm not just a Christian. I'm a good Christian.
When do you go to church?
Actually, I'll tell you, there's a really nice church. And when I'm with my mom, I go to a really nice church in Ohio.
But that's in Ohio.
In Ohio,
what
yeah.
church here?
I have only been to, and I'm not going to say which church.
I got him here.
But no, you don't. But I'm a member of a church, and I'm not going to say which church I'm a member of in California, but it's in Santa Monica.
Oh, St. Monica.
Stephen knows.
Are you a Catholic? You are, aren't you?
Yeah.
St. Monica.
Well, I'm more of a Baptist, but when my kids went to Catholic school, they got a discount if you went to the church. It's true. We got a discount, and when you went to the church,
you're right.
And I'm in. I'll be there. What time?
You were Catholic then, huh?
Yeah, I'll be there, and I think that's how we met, Stephen and I. Yeah, but you got a nice little discount.
Did you see that priest though recently? It was on Facebook. You know how they put the little wafer on your tongue?
Mm-hmm.
A black woman came up, and he wouldn't put it on her tongue. He put it in her hand.
Well, I'll tell you.
And then there was another priest. He was, you know how they baptized the baby was screaming.
Well,
do you know this old man took that baby like this and then slapped him? I couldn't believe the family sat there for a minute. About that time, I would have kicked him.
Well, I'll tell you, if you've been to a Catholic church, I don't know if you've ever been to a Catholic church.
I went to Catholic school.
You went to Catholic school.
So I know how bad these nuns are.
You know how when you go up and you get the wafer or they give you something?
I like
when you
wafer.
When you go up, you have to put your head down and you have to do a cross or something.
And put your hands a certain way.
But if you don't do that the certain way,
they know not to serve you.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that it was the case because I've done that. And
you
cross,
you hope that was the case.
I'm sure because I know the it's not a preacher, it's the priest. Uh-huh. The priest, he saw me. Oh, he didn't do his cross right, and he put his hands over his pockets.
So you made your communion before.
I've never done a communion.
Then how come you were up there taking that? You're not supposed to.
Do this when you go up.
That's what you do.
Mm-hmm. I see. So you're supposed to cross your...
Yeah, but if he didn't make his Holy Communion...
Exactly.
I see. So there you go. So the preacher or the priest...
But if you didn't make your Holy Communion, you're not supposed to go up there.
You can't.
See, but
so there you go. I have to do my Holy Communion.
You can get the blessing by doing a cross like this.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
And then I have to...
Oh, I see. So the preacher...
So
the priest knew, oh, this guy's a fraud. This guy's here for the discount.
He knew her.
Yeah, this guy's here for the discount.
Nothing's wrong with that because most people are there for the discount.
Yeah, absolutely. So
they'll put their kids in school just before they're getting ready to go to middle school so they can get in Notre Dame.
Yeah,
on Overland.
Exactly.
They know what they're doing.
This is Mondays with Wallace. I'm Wallace. We're here every Monday on the Power of Voices Radio Network. We're on Facebook. We are on SoundCloud and YouTube. I am Wallace Peoples. If you're with me today, it must be Mondays. This is Mondays with Wallace. What are we going to talk about next week, guys? What are we going to talk about next week, Carol?
I don't know. I think we need to talk about the issues because a lot of people don't know what to vote.
A lot of people don't know what to vote.
They watch these commercials they're paying millions for, and they believe it. And you can't do that. Don't believe these commercials. We need to bring in a strong Republican and a Democrat and debate with them.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if we can't get someone that's on the side of
Jesse would be good.
On the side of the issues, so we could maybe debate with them.
Jesse would be
for
good.
All of our callers. Please call in next week if you want to talk politics with us.
We're going to talk maybe politics.
I was too late.
I can't help but notice, Stephen, you're wearing Air Jordans. Are those the original Jordans?
These are the retro Jordans. They remade these.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so they won't steal them then.
Mm-mm.
We're going to see you all next week. This is Mondays with Wallace. I'm Wallace. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.